So on Friday, Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi had negotiations to see if they could reach a deal on a stimulus relief package and finally get money into the hands of millions of Americans who so desperately need it. How did things go? Pelosi rejected the most generous Trump administration plan to date as one step forward, two steps back. The Republicans who control the Senate dismissed it as too expensive and a political loser for conservatives. Pelosi said she's still hopeful that progress can be made toward a deal, but it's as clear as ever that GOP conservatives don't want a deal on her terms. The White House had boosted its offer before Mnuchin and Pelosi spoke on Friday afternoon. President Trump is eager for an agreement before Election Day, even as his most powerful GOP ally in the Senate said Congress is unlikely to deliver relief by then. You have got to be kidding me. We're less than a month away from the election, and you can't finalize a stimulus package that you've been working on since May? Get it together, people. What in the hell's going on in Washington? I mean, it's been nearly 6 months to figure out how to compromise on the parts of the bill that both sides can't seem to agree on. And all that wasted time has come at the expense of the American people. So if Democrats or Republicans feel insulted by some of the offers made by the other party, trust me, nobody's more insulted than the people who actually need financial help and have to watch this nonsense. All right, so let's take a look at some of the details of the negotiation to see what each side had to offer. But before we do that, I need you to offer your finger to the like and subscribe buttons. That way it helps support my channel, and I can keep bringing you weekly videos related to business, finance, investing, entrepreneurship, and stimulus. Okay, the president's new offer totals about $1.8 trillion. Aides familiar with it said, with a key state and local fiscal relief component moving from $250 billion to at least $300 billion. The White House says its most recent offer before that was $1.6 trillion. The aides were not authorized to publicly discuss private negotiations and spoke on condition of anonymity. Pelosi's most recent public offer was about $2.2 trillion, though that included a business tax increase that Republicans won't go for. She said that while his administration attempted to address some of the Democratic concerns, disagreement remained on many priorities and Democrats are awaiting language on several provisions. Despite these unaddressed concerns, I remain hopeful that yesterday's developments will move us closer to an agreement on a relief package that addresses the health and economic crisis facing America's families, Pelosi's letter said. Now, President Trump has been all over the map when it comes to this deal, first as one of the forces in favor of it, then killing the talks on Tuesday, only to bring it back up by week's end. On Tuesday, he ordered an end to the talks after being told that few Republicans in Congress would end up voting for a possible Pelosi-Mnuchin deal. Now, after a political beating, Trump is pressing hard for a deal, motivated by the prospect of sending $1,200 direct payments to voters before November. Look, obviously we know what his endgame is. Anything the man says out of his mouth at this point is for votes. When he's talking about his current health status and a vaccine on the way, it's for votes. When he says he's in favor of the stimulus all of a sudden, after he just killed it on Tuesday, it's for votes. But who cares at this point? Millions of people just want to see this deal get done. We're tired of sitting on the sideline, watching the news to see a bunch of back and forth in Washington go nowhere. And America really needs this badly, so I could care less what Trump's reasoning for supporting the bill is, as long as the bill gets done. Now, if a deal somehow does get done, the White House's offer on stimulus checks includes $1,000 per child instead of the $500 per child provided in the original CARES Act approved in March. The increase in the payment to children appears to be intended as a compromise measure for rejecting tax credits for children pushed by Pelosi in negotiations. The figure for states and cities first reported by Politico is still significantly lower than Democrats have been seeking. That issue has been a long-running point of contention between the two sides, with Republicans claiming Democrats are trying to bail out blue states, a claim that angers Democrats, especially since many Republican governors are doing the same thing. Roughly $400 billion of the spending will come from money that had already been approved by Congress and would be repurposed, so that the net cost of the bill would be closer to $1.5 trillion. Trump's sudden desire for a huge spending bill does not match the mood from many Republicans on Capitol Hill, who have been cooler to the idea of a big package less than 4 weeks before the November elections. It comes, though, amid signs the U.S. economy is hitting a rough patch, several months into a partial recovery. A number of companies in the past few weeks have begun layoffs and furloughs, particularly in the travel industry, Other sectors are also showing signs of strain. Some Republicans, particularly those in tight re-election races, do appear supportive of some sort of new aid. Senator Joni Ernst of Iowa, who is in a tight re-election race, wrote on Twitter that she had spoken to Trump and urged him to provide more economic relief. All right, so my overall bottom line take on this deal is both sides need to stop being so damn picky, because more is lost with indecision than a bad decision. And no deal on the table is a million times worse than a deal that only contains 7 of the 10 things you were asking for. Who cares? This isn't about you. This is about the American public. So we need to just come to some type of a truce, get this thing packaged up and sent out before Election Day. Because America's bleeding right now economically. And both sides are just too damn particular right now. You're holding back because of tax credits, or you're holding back because of 10% of $1 trillion. I get it. It's a lot of money on the table. But if you want 2.2 trillion and the other side wants 1.8, somebody just has to cave and just give in and say, you know what? We're not exactly getting what we want here, but you know what? The public's been waiting long enough, so let's just compromise on this one. You know what? We'll meet you. We'll do the 1.8. Or the other side says, you know what? We'll do the 2.2. It's not that hard. So that about does it for today's video. We'll see how this thing plays out. And hopefully it works out for the best. If you had anything you wanted to add, please make sure you drop that down below in the comments section. And stay safe.